My mom opened a credit card in my name and stole $8K from me. I haven't spoken to my mom in over a year now, and this is the story of the lies she told. Growing up, my mom was constantly in and out of jail for stealing. The last time she was arrested was in 2015. I was 19 at the time. She always claimed she stole to provide for our family, but we never lived in a stable home. Instead, she would blow money on expensive gifts and tell us we weren't poor because we had these things. She would say, "How many poor kids have this?" As we moved from hotel to hotel, never having a true place to call home. As I got older, I became the financially responsible one. I worked multiple jobs, got good grades, and volunteered for community service. Through all my hard work in high school, I managed to save $8,500 for college, thanks to my own earnings and multiple scholarships. I also helped my mom with bills and gave her money whenever she needed it. When it was time for me to leave for college, my mom was arrested again. My aunt had to drop me off states away for my first day, and when I asked my mom for the college money I had saved, she promised she'd transfer it when she got out. But when she was finally released, the money had magically disappeared. She blamed my deceased grandmother, claiming she had stolen it. I didn't believe her, but I didn't confront her at the time. In 2019, I discovered multiple credit cards in an apartment, late on rent, had been opened in my name. I was devastated and cried to my mom about the situation. She comforted me, acting as if she cared, but then asked for more money. Despite everything, I gave it to her. After graduating with my BA, I went on to grad school, where I was able to stay for a year using my savings. But when I needed to take out Grad Plus loans, I was denied due to the negative marks on my credit. When I told my mom, she casually said, "Just pay it off." But I didn't. I dropped out instead. The devastation I felt was overwhelming, but I refused to pay for someone else's fun ride. I decided to call the credit card companies and request the addresses linked to the cards opened in my name. To no surprise, they all led back to my mom's address. When I confronted her, she broke down, once again blaming my grandmother. She even had the nerve to accuse me of wrongdoing, saying, "How dare you blame me for this?" She demanded an apology and stopped speaking to me for a week. My grandmother had died long before any of these credit cards were even opened. I eventually filed a police report against my mom, though she doesn't know yet. I'm sure that when she finds out, I'll receive one of her classic, explosive text messages. We actually stopped talking for another reason altogether, but this is just one chapter in the long story of her deceit. Edit for all the comments. I have not spoken to my mother for a year, almost 2 years now. She's been blocked on everything. The reason we do not talk is on a previous post I made about how happy I am my boyfriend ruined my relationship with her. To the comments asking about why I kept giving her money. It was hard. It was either help with the bills or have no electricity, water, gas, or roof over mine and my brother's head. I didn't want to be homeless again, and I didn't want my brother to suffer either. I felt like I needed to help my family, because for so long I had the mentality that blood was thicker than water. I know now it isn't my responsibility. I was just young and thought I was doing the best I could to provide for my family from the ages of 16 to 23. I'm 26 now. Credit stuff. I've gotten a good amount taken off. Only 2 cards and 1 bill are on my credit score. Update 1. So, this may not be the update everyone wanted to hear. I didn't get justice. She hasn't been arrested, and there are no charges at this time. I still have a police report, but I'm not going to push the police to make an arrest. I recently made a discovery. It wasn't always just my mom, my brother, and me. When I was born, we shared a small 3-bedroom apartment with my grandmother, her husband, my aunt, who was in high school at the time, my mom, and me. Later, my little brother joined us. In her late 20s, my aunt had no contact with the family, and I never knew why. It hurt to lose someone I was so close to. I heard horrible rumors from my mom about things my aunt was supposedly doing, and my mom would also tell me awful things my aunt was saying about me. After that, my aunt was in and out of my life due to her going no contact. Fast forward to the present. I reached out to my aunt to meet her, and we talked. We cleared everything up. My mom had stolen both my aunt's and her father's identities. My aunt discovered she had a lot of debt she didn't know about, and when she found out it was my mom who was responsible, she pressed charges. That was the second time my mom was arrested. My aunt's husband, who was a cop, was the one who arrested her. I always knew he hated my mom, but never knew why. My aunt then gave me a list of family members whose identities my mom had also stolen. Apparently, everyone in the family knew it would eventually happen to me and my little brother. The issue was how they could stop her. After all, she was our mom. My aunt told me she wished my mom had given us up so that my brother and I could have lived with her and had a normal life. For some reason, those words broke me. To know that I had family members who knew we were being hurt but couldn't do much to help us, and to know they wanted to save me and my brother was devastating. My aunt also told me that my father tried to go to court to have my social security number changed and locked until I turned 18. This way, my mom wouldn't be able to steal my identity. Unfortunately, it didn't work, and here I am. She told me how happy and proud she was of me. She said she struggled when she went no contact because she felt like she left her babies behind, and she was afraid of how we would turn out. I love my aunt, and I'm so glad I reached out to her. Now, I'm even angrier with my mom. How badly she isolated us in her delusional world, and how in the end, she destroyed our relationship. I told my aunt that I didn't care about us struggling in poverty. I don't blame her for that. I blame her for how she handled it and for putting so much pressure on 2 children to become billionaires just so she could continue her reckless spending. Update 2. I am a ball of rage. I had recently unfreezed my credit account to apply for care credit to get an emergency surgery done. Not even 2 months of unfreezing my credit, my mom applied for a new credit card in my name. I'm done. I always had a piece of me that didn't want to press charges or push for it because it was rough times in our lives and I knew she was struggling to raise us. But now I see no excuse other than she just doesn't want the responsibility of living within her means. It has been 2-3 years of no contact. When I would like to say F you to Chase Bank. The card was being opened with them, and when I called to let them know it wasn't me. They told me they will see if they can close the account, but need a police report first. I asked for the address. To confirm it was my mom, they kept denying my request for the address. I only got it confirmed after I told the operator if I guessed the damn address, would you just give me a yes or no? He agreed, and it was my mom's address. I am away for surgery for a while, but when I get back home, I'm going to the police and request to speak with the prosecutor. I'm done. I'm hurt and done. I did my fucking best to raise my credit score to where it is now. I did my best to work multiple jobs to help with bills. I did my best to be her emotional support, no matter how bad she treated me. I feel like this next step will be cutting this one string I left connected to her out of sympathy, and of course it led to me being taken advantage again. Edit. I'm sadly states away for this surgery, which is why I'm waiting till the surgery is over, and I'm back home recovering. I don't know if I can file this report in the state I am in, and it still be effective in the state I live in. I know jurisdiction can be a problem. Edit 2. Thank you for the advice, everyone. I will be pressing charges right away. My boyfriend is an attorney, but doesn't work in the public area. I do have friends from my law school days that actually work in our county prosecutor office, so I may reach out to them for some advice. They just passed the bar and are slowly getting into the routine. I also don't like to bring this up much to passive friends because it's just embarrassing. My mom and I haven't spoken almost 2 or 3 years. It feels so long ago, I really don't know the timeline. Questions why haven't I pushed for charges before, and why do I keep letting this happen? I really don't know if many will understand, but I have been conditioned to fear my mom. From a young age, she would punish me for not acting, speaking, or thinking a certain way. If she thought I had a negative thought about her, I was hit and yelled at. I had to beg and cry and comfort her that it wasn't true. After it was over, I would have to hold my mom and comfort her through the tears. The fear has been also real even after cutting contact. It has stopped, thankfully, but I have been afraid that if I make this move, it will start again. What do I mean? She threatened to get my boyfriend and friends expelled from law school if they kept associating with me. We had to call the school and have a talk about my mom. She then threatened to report me to the IRS for tax fraud, but I always paid my taxes. She sent messages to my workplace. When I was a kid, I would be in the back seat as she drove past people she hated houses over and over to see what they were doing. That fear that she could find where I live and do this makes my stomach turn. I was afraid to push for these charges in the past because I wanted to leave it behind and continue the peace I was having. She stopped. I removed all those nasty things on my credit, and I was happy. Until now. Now I know it will never stop. After 4 years of not opening anything in my name, she went back to it. So I'm putting my foot down and taking the step. I understand I should have pushed more earlier, I do. I was scared and naive, but I'm going to stop it today. I called my local police department back home, saying I have an update for the identity theft report I reported in 2021. They transferred me over to the detective office and said I would need to come in to make another report. I told them I am currently waiting to finish a surgical procedure and will not be back home for a few days. They said it was fine. So at this time, I will not be able to make the report until I get back home. But I'm also happy because they said I can talk to the detective when I come in to file the other report. Update 3. Well, it's just been a mix of emotions these past few days. My surgery went well, and my recovery should be complete by next week. I feel super good. I got cancer. Didn't expect this one. Skin cancer, which is super easy to treat and to prevent if I keep up with doctor appointments. I got this weird wart removed. Get a call right before I go into surgery saying it was cancer and I would need to come in for some more testing and body check. I would like to thank my mom for having me in tanning beds at 13. She said I was super ugly pale, and I believed her. She also didn't want people to think we didn't travel for spring break, so all spring break, I would be in a tanning bed to look like we traveled. We're sunscreen kids. I went to the police today and filed a report. Spoke to a detective too. I gave them all of mine and my mother information. They asked if I would like to press criminal charges, and I said yes. They're going to call the credit card company to pull the report. And if Chase Bank gives them the report without a subpoena, then we will have an easy charge in closing of the case. If Chase Bank wants a subpoena, then it will take longer to close this. I'm super happy I finally did this, and to hear that they may actually have charges to press against her. So once I have more of an update, I will post again. But it looks like it may be a couple of months before we get somewhere. Also, I did talk with my brother. He knows and is aware of the situation. He doesn't seem to care about his credit, but he is also still young. I'm sure he will understand soon and hopefully get his taken care of. Edit. I kind of chuckle when I read your comments commenting on my mom as an egg donor. Because the surgery I just came back from was egg donation. I was donating my eggs to a gay couple I was close with at my job. They're a very sweet couple and know my family history. I've donated my eggs many times to other couples, but it makes me chuckle a little to see you call her an egg donor after coming from an egg donation cycle. Edit 2. Police called to let me know they will be going to see her today or Tuesday to talk about the theft. If she admits to it, then we will have an easy case. I told them on the phone she won't admit to stealing. She would just blame someone else. The detective wanted to know if she had a drug problem. I told him no, she just can't live within her means. If I get a call back that she has been arrested, I will let you know. Update 4. I got a call this morning from the detective. He wanted to hear my side of the story again. I told him my mom's history with theft. I told him I filed once in 2021 and nothing happened. How I found this inquiry and how she did it the moment I unfreeze my credit. He asked what did I want him to do. I told him I would like charges. He asked if he goes to her place, will she admit to this crime? I told him no. When I confronted her about this, she had blamed my grandmother. Apparently, the woman had powers beyond the grave to open these cards in my name. He asked if she was a drug user. I told him no, she just doesn't know how to live within her means. He said he will be going down today to interrogate her. If she admits to it, she will be booked right there. If she doesn't, then they will just need the Chase credit report. I'm planning to go to Chase to grab the report and hand it to them myself tomorrow. I asked if she would know our address. He said if we go to court, my address would be submitted as evidence against the identity theft, so she would know where we lived. Thank God we are renting right now. So we agreed if we go to court, we will see how long her sentence is and plan to move out before she is released. We know she will serve time because this is her 4th time, and the judge will have no sympathy on a mom doing this to her daughter. Max punishment in the U.S. is 15 years. But she always takes the plea deal, so I can see her serving either a couple of months or a year. It has been a couple of hours and my stomach feels like it is doing flips. My head is so dizzy. The air feels so much heavier. I feel sick. I've been waiting by my phone for a call. An update. Something. Did she admit? Is she booked? What is happening next? The detective then gave me the report number, and I called Chase Bank. Chase apparently hadn't processed the application, but after my call, it was out on hold until further investigation. With my report, I was able to have it denied and removed from my credit score. So I have confidence I can go into the bank tomorrow and snag that report. Update 5. So this isn't the update a lot of people want to hear. Police showed up Friday to talk to my mom. She denied everything and said she doesn't even speak to me, which is true, we haven't spoken 2 years. That Friday, I got logged out of my Experian. Weird, but didn't think too much of it. Yesterday, I decided I would use my downtime to get back into my Experian account, thinking I forgot my username and password, plus signed up with an old email. I get back into my Experian and everything is different. Different email, different phone number, and username. Like someone just wanted to control my credit file, so I wouldn't be able to access any more information. I saved the email and phone number. I just got off the phone with the detective and they will investigate this too. If it linked to her and shows up, then we have a closed case. If not, they said they will need to wait for more evidence to come in. Really, my boyfriend and I talked. We don't want more evidence to come in and be on high alert. So I'm hoping this time with all my evidence, I will be able to change my SSN. I tried back in 2021, but was denied because I didn't have evidence of it being constant harm. So I'm hoping this will help. We sadly are moving since our address was linked to my Experian. I also get spam calls asking to speak with my mom or text with her name. Why haven't you changed your number? I tried in 2022, but the damn AT&T people ignored my request and kept my number the same. Plus, everything was quiet last year. So I'm going to try to change it again. Also, I know this is a question. How did she get into your Experian? I have the same 4 passwords I use for everything. She knows 2 of them. Every time I am requested to change password, I would just rotate to those 4. I know how stupid. I changed all my passwords to something she would never guess, and I'm better protected. Even during these rough times, I've been super happy since NC with my mom. I have an amazing found family and friends. It's funny, my favorite movie was Meet the Robinson as a child. How the ending wasn't exactly what the protagonist wanted, to be happy with his birth family. But I'm happy I kept moving forward and met my new family. I have so much love in my life now. I couldn't have asked for more. Final update. The police just gave me a call again. The number was linked to her, but she told the officer she helped me set up the account when we were talking, so of course her number is linked, which is a 100% lie. The officer told me straight. If we didn't stop the inquiry and allowed her to use that card for a couple of weeks, we would have been able to book her since they would have evidence a card was delivered to her address and she was using it. So this is truly the end. Thank you all for support and love you sent my way. I hope everyone has a great rest of their week. Second story. Am I wrong for ending my marriage after learning my wife cheated 14 years ago? I'm 35M, married to my 37F wife for 11 years, and we've been together for a total of 14 years. We share a wonderful 7-year-old daughter, and our marriage has generally been great with no major issues until last year. That's when I found out my wife had cheated on me before we got married. One of her friends, who had recently become religious, confessed this to me, which led me to confront my wife. She was shocked that I had found out and apologized repeatedly for what she had done. However, she insisted it wasn't something significant anymore because we had built a strong relationship and now have a family. She told me I should accept it since it happened only 4 months into us being exclusive and that she was just a naive young woman, fresh out of college at the time. My logical side told me the same thing. It had been 14 years, and we were happy now. So, I decided to forgive her and move forward with our life as usual. Unfortunately, reality turned out to be a lot more complicated than that. Mentally, I was deeply affected. I realized that, for me, it wasn't something that happened 14 years ago. The cheating became real the moment my wife confirmed it. I lost confidence, and I couldn't bring myself to be intimate with her anymore. I simply couldn't get an erection when we tried to have sex. This eventually grew into feelings of disgust toward her. Secretly, I even went as far as getting both a DNA test and an STD test. Thankfully, our daughter is biologically mine, and I tested negative for any STDs. But emotionally, the damage was done. I started a year of intensive individual therapy, realizing I needed to find a way to cope. I wasn't the same person I had been before. I communicated my struggles to my wife, and after some initial resistance, we began couples counseling as well. Despite everything, after much soul-searching and therapy, I ultimately decided to go through with a divorce. Here's why. Not only did she cheat back then, but she kept it hidden from me for 14 years. She didn't come forward with the truth on her own. While she apologized, she also minimized the significance of what she did, dismissing it by saying it's no longer important. Young me was robbed of having a choice. Cheating was, and still is, one of the biggest deal breakers for me. If I knew it back then, I would have broke it off. I am happy with my life, and I am glad that our daughter came to world. She is the light that shines the brightest for me. One of the biggest reasons I keep living, but I still was robbed of a choice back then. Individual counseling and marriage counseling could not our problems and my feelings towards her. It also started affecting family life, which could affect our daughter. I think our daughter would be better off having us as co-parents instead of living in a broken family environment where consistent arguments are present. Sex life is basically dead for me. We do have sex, but I feel like those women on film, series that just lay and look at the ceiling waiting it to be over. The only difference is that I am a man. I do not even want non-sexual gestures anymore. Last week, I had to sit down with my wife and explained everything I wrote here in detail, my feelings, reasonings, and some other private things. I have been talking to a lawyer for the last month, and papers are almost finalized. 50-50 custody, 50-50 assets sharing, and as amicable as possible. I explained everything thoroughly and clearly to her. She freaked out and had a panic attack. We spent the night at ER. She is begging me to reconsider and not throw away 14 years. However, even though I would like to stay, it will result in us being roommates in a broken family environment for our daughter. Am I in the wrong here? Update. Firstly, I want to thank everyone for their ideas and input about my situation. Some people reached out to me on Reddit chat to state their opinions, and we had long talks. They have been incredibly helpful, and I want to thank them especially. Some people asked if we went to counseling together. Yes, we have been visiting a counselor for over a year now on top of my individual therapy. I understand blowing up a marriage for something happened 14 years ago is not logical. However, my feelings towards my wife got even worse after counseling and therapy. It started with not being able to trust her, converted to not wanting sex, then not wanting non-sexual gestures, and finally I am not even comfortable to be in the same space as her. We have been less than roommates in the last couple of months. I do not hate or resent her, but I just cannot shake off the feelings. I would say I forgave her, but it's not about forgiving anymore when there are no feelings and love. I do not want my daughter to grow up in such an environment. I know how hurtful it can be. I experienced a similar situation with my parents, only the genders reversed. Living in such an environment breaks you as a child and teen. I would have much preferred if my mother just divorced my dad instead of staying for my sake. These being said, I had a long talk with my wife this morning. She has not been eating much since visiting ER, and I am concerned for her well-being and safety. Some Redditors who reached out suggested considering separation before proceeding with the divorce and see if my feelings would change. That is very logical actually. I proposed this idea to my wife, and she was happy to hear it. I have an upcoming business trip to Netherlands next week, and I am planning to extend my stay and stay with my sister once I am back. Wife abruptly suggested one-sided open marriage, and I can do what I want on that business trip if it'll save the relationship, make us even, and change my feelings. I rejected because it has nothing to do with that. Even if it changed something for me, it would devastate her knowing I cheated on her in the future. It's not something easy to get over and not an easy decision. Update 2. I have a short update about the situation. I got back from the trip and decided to divorce my wife in the end. The last straw was when my daughter told me I look more lively and happier after I came back. I realized I am better off without my wife and just co-parenting our daughter with her. I still feel incredibly uncomfortable around my wife. My wife did not take the news well and is going down the spiral. I called MIL and FIL to have them take care of her. She caused some problems. She sent threatening messages to her friend who told me about the cheating. I had to beg her to not sue my wife, as I want my daughter to have a mother present in her life. Though, she'll be probably taken to mental ward. She is not well. Last time I saw her, I felt scared looking at her eyes. Our daughter is with me now, and we've started the divorce process. My lawyer told me if my wife to be taken to mental ward, there is a good chance that I can get better than 50-50 custody. One should be happy hearing that, but I am just devastated how it'll affect our daughter. Many Redditors told in the comments that dating life after 30 seconds as a man is not good, and I'll be probably forever alone, as no one will want me. First thing is, I do not care. Our daughter is my first priority, and dating is the last thing I have in mind right now. Second thing is, I am confident in myself in every regard to finding friends and a partner. Update 3. It's been almost 2 months since my last update. People have been asking about an update, and here is one. My soon-to-be ex-wife is doing much better. As far as I know, she's on antidepressants right now and started her own therapy. Also, she has a good support system around her, so she is fine. Our daughter was with me most of the time, and we spent a lot of quality time together. We have been taking her to a therapist too. She is taking the separation much better than we expected. She is into drawing/painting, and we have been practicing together. She has won first place award in a local competition in her age group, and I am super proud of her. As smart as always. For the divorce, my wife agreed to an amicable divorce. We gave the documents to the local family court, and we'll have the court seeing next month as scheduled. 50-50 financial assets and 50-50, 80/20 at first custody. She wanted to see our daughter only on weekends until she is in a better place. After that, we'll convert to 50-50. It's more desirable for me, to be honest. I want to have our daughter and equal time with her mother. I am staying at our house currently. I'll buy the share of my wife from her, and she'll stay at her parents for now. They are very close to our house, so it's good. My wife is planning to rent a separate place around the same area in the future. Time is passing and life is going on somehow. I'm also in a much better place mentally and emotionally. I am on amicable terms with my wife, and as long as we are not living together, I do not feel uncomfortable as I did in the past. Not much drama, just life is being life and everything finding its own place with time. Thanks.